Hi there, I'm Pete Briggs and this is CSN Tech. Here we're going to have another video on self-awareness, and today our video is going to be about learning styles. Last week we spoke about self-awareness and unconscious bias. This week is all about learning styles and how you can use learning styles to further yourself and your team to get better results. So let's just get on with the rest of the video. Today's video we will mainly go through a number of the theories on learning styles. We'll piece together information that you can make an informed decision on what you would like to use. We will address how learning influences training and development, and how you can focus on your team's learning style in order to produce better results. We will also focus on how you can use your knowledge of learning styles to become a better leader. Part of self-awareness is understanding your learning style, which will in turn help you to understand the learning styles of your team. If you can understand that you have a specific learning requirement when learning, then you will be able to develop an all-encompassing and holistic view on learning styles of your team, and be able to develop a package to teach the skills needed to all your team members in a way that magnifies their learning styles. Understanding your learning style is a great way to start off your development action plan, which is sometimes called a DAP, or your continuous professional development, which is also sometimes abbreviated as CPD. An updated and frequently maintained DAP will show your growth as an individual. Firstly, you need to be looking at your current roles and responsibilities and detail where the gaps are in your portfolio. Then we need to analyse where you want to be in the future, what skills do you want to show, and what qualities do you have to achieve these. Then the action plan comes in. How are you going to get there? What courses are you going to attend? What learning are you going to take on? And how much development you'll personally need to have to get to the position that you want. This all comes down to your learning style. There is no point sat there listening to podcasts if you're an audible learner. So you've got to adapt to your learning style. Today's video will be concentrating on the following theories: VARK, Gardner's multiple intelligences, Feldman-Silverman learning style, Kolb's learning style, and Mumford. However, there are plenty more to look at on the internet, such as CS383, Ideal, Masplank, Tango, and AHA. VARK explains that people normally have a favourite way of learning, and therefore training needs to be adapted to suit these preferences. Usual watching or seeing activity completed lends itself to visual learners. YouTube lends itself well to this area, and more children are growing up as visual learners as a result. Graphs and data can add more information for these learners. Listening or speaking are auditory learners. How many times have you explained something and suddenly it makes more sense? Listening to people explain something might also be the key to unlocking your learning, as well as asking questions and listening to those answers. Reading and writing is about being able to read instructions or notes and understand them. Research is also a great way for these learners to develop, and writing notes during training is important. Kinetic is about getting your hands dirty and actually doing it and touching it. These sometimes can be switched from visual learners, and both visual and kinesthetic learners both draw information from the other's learning style. However, to really understand the subject, the preferred method must be used. The idea is that most people will have a preferred learning style, and that leaders can make sure that they hit all the bases with designing their training. For example, you can conduct a presentation with a video and written handouts, maybe with diagrams. You will describe the training thoroughly, and when you conduct some hands-on training in a safe environment with suitable supervision. This way, all the different types of learners will have some version of learning that they require. I like this idea, but I'm also an advocate that skills and learning can be any of the above for any single person. When you get a flat-pack wardrobe from IKEA, the instructions are paramount, and therefore I'd be a reading and writing learner. However, when I'm playing on my computer games, I seek walkthroughs on YouTube, and therefore I'm more of a visual learner. However, when I learned to drive a car, I was kinetic because I needed to feel and drive a vehicle to actually understand how it all worked. Gardner's multiple intelligences is a theory based on how people understand and perceive the world differently. This was further refined, but the theory states there are 3 different intelligences. Gardner said there's a wide range of cognitive abilities that only have a weak correlation between them. His theory predicts that a child who learns math easily is not necessarily more intelligent than the child that finds math hard, and that they may learn to do maths in different ways or have different approaches. The child struggling with maths may also excel in different areas outside of the discipline, and may be looking too deep into the subject matter and therefore overcomplicating the task. This means that a child that struggles with a subject might actually be hiding a potentially higher level of intelligence of the child that has memorised maths quickly. This misunderstanding can lead to the detrimental effect on the child. Let's look at the 8 intelligences. People with a high verbal linguistic intelligence displays a facility with words and languages. They're typically good at reading and writing, can tell stories and memorising words along with dates. They tend to learn best by reading and taking notes and listening to lectures, and by being discussed or debating what they've learned. Logical or mathematical. Using logic and reasoning, numbers or patterns. Whilst often assumed that those with intelligence naturally excel in mathematics, chess, computer programs or any other logical or numerical activities, the more accurate definition places less emphasis on traditional mathematics ability and more on reasoning capabilities, recognising abstract patterns, scientific thinking, and investigation and the ability to perform calculations. Spatial. Being able to mentally visualise, plan, and be aware of space and distance. Careers that suit these types of intelligence include artists, designers, and architects. A spatial person is really good with puzzles. Bodily or kinetic. Using your body to solve problems, hands-on sort of people. The core elements of bodily kinetic intelligence are control of one's body's motions and the capability to handle objects skillfully. Gardner elaborates to state that these intelligences also include a sense of timing, a clear sense of goal of a physical action, along with the ability to train responses so they are more like reflexes. In theory, people who are body kinetic intelligent should learn better by involving muscular movement and are generally better at physical activities such as sport as dance. They may enjoy acting or performing, and in general they're good at building and making things. They often learn best by doing things physically rather than reading or hearing about it. Musical. Sensitivity to sounds, rhythms and tones of music. People with high musical intelligence normally have a good pitch and may even have an absolute pitch. They're able to sing, play musical instruments and compose music. Since they are a strong auditory component to this intelligence, those who are strongest in it may learn via a lecture. Interpersonal. Good communication skills, great at negotiation or developing friendships and relationships. Interpersonal intelligence is the ability to understand others. In theory, individuals who have a high interpersonal intelligence are characterised by their sensitivities to others, moods, feelings and temperaments and motivations, and their ability to cooperate in order to work as part of a group. Intrapersonal. Self-reflective, self-awareness, understanding what motivates themselves. This refers to having a deep understanding of yourself and what strengths and weaknesses are, what makes you unique, being able to predict your own reactions and emotions. Philosophical and critical thinking is common with this intelligence. Naturalistic. This has to do with nurturing and related information on one's natural surroundings. Examples include classifying natural forms such as animals and plant species and rocks and types of mountains, and the applied knowledge of nature in farming and mining. Although the roots of Feldman-Silverman's learning style model lies in the engineering world, the theory can be used in other industries. The model shows 4 areas of personality, and a combination of these styles show that their learning preferences. Active or reflective. This shows how people process the information given to them. Active people tend to want to work things out and work in groups, whereas reflective people prefer to work alone or in familiar teams. Visual or verbal. This shows how information is presented. Visual learners prefer videos or information in pictures or charts. Verbal prefer written word or spoken answers. Sensing or intuitive. This shows how people wish to perceive information. Sensing learners want concrete information and are themselves practical thinkers, enjoying facts and processes. Intuitive people prefer thinking with conceptual theories. Sequential or global. This is how people like to organise and process information. Sequential learners prefer small, linear thinking, using small steps towards their goal, whereas global thinkers prefer holistic learning with large steps. Kolb's experiential learning module uses 4 points to identify how people learn. According to Kolb's model, The ideal learning process engages all four of these models in response to situational demands. They form a learning cycle, from experience to observation to conceptualization to experimentation, and back to experience. In order for learning to be effective, Kolb suggests all four of these approaches must be used in training and learning. Experience, the first attempt or actually doing the skills. Reflecting, much like any other reflection, looking back on what's occurred, using the information to see what you would do better next time and how useful the experience was. 3. Thinking, using theories and any other ideas that relate to the learning experience and integrating them into your learning. 4. Acting, the test phase, where the learner puts to practice what they've learned. This rotational cycle shows that learners should touch every area when learning. Building upon Kolb's experimental learning model is the Honey and Mumford learning cycle. Here we've got activists, who are people who like change and go out and seek learning. We've got reflectors, people stand back and review learning. Theorists, people who wish to learn more through logical processes. And the pragmatist, people who like to try new things and solve the problems. These four learning styles are acquired preferences that are adaptable, either at will or through changed circumstances, rather than being fixed personality characteristics. Making the most of our own and our team's preferred learning styles will help us make the most out of our training opportunities. Allowing everyone to develop in a way they prefer and make the learning more enjoyable with an increased chance of the training being successful, saving money and time in the process. As an individual, you should work out your own learning style and ensure that you conduct learning in the way that suits you. Using activities like delegation, job rotations, shadowing and e-learning can help support all the different types of learners in your team to develop. By using analysis on our own way of thinking can help us to plan learning strategies that work for us and our teams. It can help support us become more organised and choose effective methods for different learning tasks. There are a number of ways that you can use to identify your learning style and the learning style of your team. Some of these will be questionnaires, and some theories have web browser activities that you can undertake. I'll link a few in the comments below. If you want to know more about yourself, consider how you learn in different circumstances. Do you like to be guided, or do you like to be shown? Do you need to write instructions, or do you like a video? This should easily point you towards understanding how you want to learn, and how easy it is to use the right system to get the right results. The same principle can be applied to your team. Ask them or observe them. Gather the information required by watching your team and understanding what works for them as a cohort or as individuals. Just remember, learning is often context driven, so one way of learning will not always solve your problems. However, it should highlight new ways of working. Understanding your team's learning style and implementing it will help you and your team massively. The first step to understanding your team, though, is your own understanding of yourself. Being aware will always be the best way to understand how other people work. Understanding that you have needs will allow you to cater for the needs of others more. This is how a leader magnifies the skills of his own team, shows effort into understanding what the team needs and how their impact can be maximised. Consider the questions on screen and hopefully they can inspire you to work out what you need and what your team needs. So that's a quick overview of some of the learning styles that you can use as part of your development and your team's development. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you look forward to next week's video as well.